The bravest act after heartbreak is rediscovering self-worth. Today's account exemplifies this journey, starting with a shocking discovery at a hotel. Greetings, everyone. I trust you're all doing fine. This narrative is quite extensive and complex. Please excuse any errors. I'm typing this on my phone. I've reached my breaking point and feel utterly lost on how to handle this chaotic situation. To give you some context, I'm a 33-year-old man, and my partner is 40. We've been wed for 16 years, raising 2 children, a daughter of 14 and a 9-year-old son. Our early years of marriage were very turbulent, but we navigated those difficult periods and emerged much stronger. We married young, so our maturity wasn't fully developed then, but we believed in our mutual affection and our ability to overcome any challenge that might threaten our bond. I still question if this was merely wishful thinking. My wife has been a manager at a large advertising firm for 3 years, and I've worked in engineering for 7. Both our careers provided good incomes, affording our family a comfortable way of life. We were a very close-knit unit. As parents, we always ensured we were present for our children, creating cherished memories no matter how demanding our schedules became. We always carved out time for them. Honestly, I view myself as a devoted father and spouse. I sometimes stumbled in my interactions with my wife, but I would do anything for her. It truly devastated me when I uncovered her long-standing extramarital relationship. This brings me to the moment of revelation. My wife had become distant. In fact, the 2 years leading up to this discovery were the most challenging. Nothing I did seemed to please her. She constantly compared me to her boss. Yes, I understand the significance now, always remarking on how he would manage various situations. I couldn't read her mind, but apparently her boss could. She complained I didn't initiate dates or make her feel special. Yet, her boss did exactly that for his own wife. Why was I so naive? I would ask what she desired to invigorate our romantic life. Her usual response was, "Don't ask. You should simply know and do it." So I researched, bought books, realizing that since I was clueless, someone else must have the solutions. Every effort I made was met with either faint gratitude or sharp disappointment. My wife had never behaved this way in all the years I'd known her. I genuinely believed my inability to satisfy her was a problem I urgently needed to resolve. Little did I realize, I wasn't the one who needed fixing throughout this entire period. We were quite close with her boss and his spouse. They also had children, and our kids adored each other. We invited them to our backyard cookouts, family trips to the park, and arcade game days. They visited our home many times, and we visited theirs. It was natural that we became good friends. I even confided in her boss about our marital issues. He offered what I thought was helpful advice. I believed he was a decent man. Anyway, back to the discovery. I had become emotionally drained by my wife's demands to improve myself, or else our marriage was over. Her attitude honestly surprised me, as I thought we had a strong marriage before all this began. Then one evening, she was laughing and softly chuckling while texting someone. I was beside her in bed and grew curious. The instant I leaned my head to glance, she violently pulled away. She immediately became angry, asking what I was doing. I told her I wanted to see what was so amusing, and she declared it was none of my concern, retreating to the bathroom. I believe that was the day I instinctively knew, deep down, some kind of affair was happening, though I lacked concrete evidence. I made the mistake of confronting her directly the next day. She was furious and denied any wrongdoing. I didn't have access to her phone, but I desperately wanted the truth. I asked for her device, and she refused. Only later that night did she reluctantly hand it over. Almost every message she'd sent to specific contacts was gone. I could tell because some conversations appeared disjointed, and others were utterly absurd. I returned the phone, and we didn't discuss it again until a month later, when I managed to get a friend to examine the device and retrieve deleted messages. My wife had acquired another phone previously, and barely used the one she gave me. Some messages were recovered, and it was through these fragments that I finally had undeniable proof of an affair. And, as you've probably guessed, it was with her boss. I knew that if I confronted her right then, she would somehow wriggle out of it, so I bided my time. I was shattered, though. All I could think about was the impact on our children. The situation was dreadful, and I wept in front of my friend. I still didn't want to abandon the marriage. So 3 days later, I looked up resources on how to help your spouse heal from an affair. It's understandable if you're shaking your head. I began reading, hoping that if I gave it to my wife, she would end this foolishness. I wanted my wife back, and I wanted to rescue our marriage. I had planned to speak with her that Saturday to work things out, but she informed me they had an emergency at work and not to wait up for her. Naturally, I contacted her workplace that day to verify her story but received no answer. They were closed on Saturdays. I tried her phone, but no response. She arrived home at 2 in the morning on Sunday, immediately showered, then came to bed. I asked why she was so late, and she evaded the question by saying she'd already told me not to wait. I was fed up with this. I didn't give her the book I'd bought. I was suffering, and she seemed indifferent. She witnessed my pain and didn't care. I reached out to her boss's wife to ask if she knew anything. I was so desperate for stability, and to this day, I don't regret that action. She was as stunned as I was upon learning the truth. She wanted to confront her husband, but I warned her he would likely lie and try to conceal it better, just as my wife had. We met at her home to discuss the situation, and I shared the limited evidence I possessed. She desired more proof, so we both resolved to gather evidence independently and then compare our findings. I started observing my wife more closely, and she did the same with her husband. It was remarkably easy for her to uncover irrefutable proof. Her husband was so overconfident that he hadn't even erased the messages on his phone between him and my wife. The few texts I'd found earlier finally made sense, and we now had a complete picture of the affair's duration. 2 years. The boss's wife was furious, and so was I. She wanted to seek retribution against them, and I felt the same. They had been intimate everywhere. Her home, my home, expensive hotels, and during business trips. It was nauseating to read everything. They even exchanged intimate photos, but we chose to ignore those images, not wanting to traumatize ourselves further. We desired justice, but not to become unfaithful ourselves. We both decided that if they wanted each other, they could have each other. We both filed for divorce at roughly the same time. We were absolutely determined. Our spouses didn't know we were aware, and we played our parts convincingly. By the time all our preparations were complete, they were at it again. This time, by collaborating with the boss's wife, we knew precisely where and how they would be served. We knew which hotel they had booked for their weekend escapade. I personally went there with the sheriff. I waited in the lobby as the sheriff handled the arrangements, and my wife was summoned down from her room. She appeared dressed in a bathrobe, and I suspect nothing else. She was panicking, frantically asking what I was doing there. It was a considerable distance from our home, but not excessively far. The sheriff requested confirmation of her name and details. She confusedly affirmed, and then she was served. Seeing the shock on her face was incredibly satisfying. However, I didn't want to gloat, so I chose to walk away, knowing my task was complete. She wouldn't let me. She grabbed my arm, pulling me back, demanding to know the meaning of this. I simply told her, "You had an affair, and I'm leaving you." She began screaming at me and forcefully yanking my arm. The sheriff had to intervene, instructing her to release me immediately. She complied, then started crying, claiming she could explain that I had the wrong idea and it was my fault. I was becoming very angry, so I quickly departed for home. My wife informed her boss, and he panicked. From what I was told, he rushed home only to be served there. We gave them no time to compose themselves. We blindsided them, just as they had done to us. My divorce will be finalized in a couple of months. Hers might take a bit longer. Both my wife and her boss have been contesting the divorces. Neither wishes to separate. The excuse I frequently hear is that they never intended to abandon their spouses. It was purely a physical affair, nothing more. Some people endure worse affairs and still emerge with stronger marriages, they claim. They messed up and would like a chance to undo the situation. I asked my wife what she anticipated the outcome of all this would be. She said she was just going with the flow and acted completely unlike herself. She claimed she wasn't that person anymore. I told her she was being foolish. People around me are calling me cruel for not offering my wife another opportunity. My children are aware of the situation, explained in an age-appropriate way, and they support me completely. However, they would prefer if we remain together. My resolve is weakening, especially since we still share the same house, and my wife is attending therapy and reading the book I bought. It's becoming increasingly difficult to stand firm. She claims to be remorseful and willing to do whatever it takes. All I tell her is that she's sorry she was caught, and that's all I need to know. She has called me a bitter, resentful individual unable to look past negativity. She apologized for it later, but I know that's genuinely how she feels. The boss's wife and I still communicate, and my wife absolutely despises this. She believes I'm seeking revenge or that her boss's wife is the reason I won't give us another chance. She has repeatedly asked me to cease contact with the boss's wife, just as she did with her boss. I told her she was irrational. We did nothing wrong, and why should I respect her opinions now? I think I'm done. I have no respect for her. She still doesn't want to give up and actively tries to engage me about her thoughts and actions regarding her affair. I perceive them as mere justifications, so I don't entertain her. She wants me to attend therapy with her. I've read in many places where therapists blame the victim, so I firmly refused. She wants me to read infidelity books with her. What's the purpose if we're heading for divorce anyway? She wants to be intimate. I told her she wouldn't manipulate me with intimacy. She insists it's not manipulation, just her desire to show me how much she cares. I corrected her, saying, "You mean you care now?" People around me are frustrated with my stance, even my mother, who argues that everyone makes mistakes, and my wife has realized through hers that she truly loves me. I responded to everyone that I would never be anyone's backup plan. I feel genuinely bad for how I treat her. I still care for her, despite the underlying resentment. Am I being excessively harsh? She's trying exceptionally hard, but I just don't care. Should I reconsider the divorce? People are suggesting I'm acting too quickly and will regret it. Is that accurate? I don't know what's real and what isn't. Thank you all for taking the time to respond to my situation. I've read all your comments, and some of you highlighted crucial points. I'll have a discussion with my wife shortly. I will keep you informed, but I genuinely believe divorce is the best path for me and our children. Reading your perspectives here has been helpful. Let's get a quick community reaction before moving on with an update. Molson5972 commented, "A mistake is misspelling a word or confusing names. A 2-year emotional and physical affair, hidden in your home, is a profound betrayal. Pure and simple. She didn't make a mistake. She betrayed you. That's what I'd tell anyone who suggested it was a mere error. She disregarded you for those 2 years. Your relationship during that time was a deception, as you were never given the agency to decide whether to stay or leave based on her actions. Stand firm. This wasn't a one-time lapse. She lied daily by concealing this affair. She lied to your face even when you knew the truth. The time and energy she invested in her boss should have been directed towards you. It sounds like she took you for granted for years. The marriage you once knew is over. Divorce her, and from there, you can decide if a new relationship with her is possible. Okay, I'm back with another update. I'm attempting this for the second time, as I've been receiving numerous emails requesting an update. Thank you for your concern, everyone. I understand your curiosity and wish to clarify a few things. Firstly, my wife and I are currently in a somewhat amicable state. This isn't due to reconciliation. No, I'm still proceeding with the divorce. My previous update, which was removed by the auto-moderator, detailed our situation extensively. The brief version is that my wife continues to plead for another chance and is doing everything possible to earn it. I won't grant it because her affair lasted far too long for me to overcome. If it had been a single night, it would be a different matter, but 2 years feels like a direct insult. I've attended a few therapy sessions with her because I'm not heartless, and I still care for her. One session was very productive, helping me understand that my wife genuinely feels remorse. She hasn't handled the aftermath of her affair perfectly, but she has been trying incredibly hard. The second session was chaotic, with her upset about my ongoing contact with the boss's wife and her fear of a revenge affair. That was the angriest I'd ever been throughout this entire ordeal, and we argued significantly afterward because I refused to comply with her request for no contact with the boss's wife. That issue was resolved when I promised her there would be no retaliatory affair. I know I owe her nothing, but she's still my wife until the divorce is final, and I want to uphold my commitments. I've continued attending a few more sessions with her just to observe her progress. Yes, this therapist specializes in both individual and couples counseling. No, I'm not going to these sessions because, deep down, I want to save our marriage. I want to witness my wife's personal growth myself and participate if necessary. After the divorce, I will gracefully step away. The boss's wife is still leaving her husband. He's also contesting her divorce. She is as resolute as I am, and I admit we confide in each other during difficult days. I still don't foresee any romantic involvement between us. We are simply on friendly terms. She is a strong, independent woman who tolerates no nonsense from anyone. My children are doing well. They understand that our divorce doesn't diminish our love for them. They don't desire a divorce but comprehend why it's necessary for us, explained in an age-appropriate manner. My wife no longer works at the advertising company. She found employment elsewhere. She resigned shortly after I served her papers. According to her, she has maintained strict no contact with her former boss, and she sought advice on online forums to help save our marriage, implementing those suggestions. I've been reading extensively here, and initially, I didn't grasp why people stayed with unfaithful partners. However, after witnessing my wife's strenuous efforts to become a better person, I can see the allure. She's not a monster. She's simply flawed and made terrible choices, from which she's now learning to improve. She has offered me everything imaginable for another opportunity. I'm not entirely sure I have it in me. The closer the divorce comes to being final, the more at peace I feel. We recently had a lengthy discussion where she asked for a chance after the divorce. She even suggested a post-nuptial agreement. I wasn't completely against the idea, but it would be an incredibly long journey for her to travel, for me to even consider it a possibility. She seems quite willing, but I honestly don't see how that would benefit any of us. A significant part of me desires this divorce out of a fleeting sense of justice. It's the only justice I can obtain without stooping to the level of an unfaithful partner. My mother and I reconciled after I revealed more details about my wife's affair. Now, she's absolutely furious with my wife after learning the specifics. I'm unsure how to navigate that particular issue. Update. Rant. The revenge affair scenario. I didn't intend to write here until my divorce was finalized, but I'm just infuriated today and really need to vent. As many of you know, my wife is insanely worried about a revenge affair. The simple reason is that I'm still in contact with and see the other woman she betrayed. My wife is very insecure compared to the other betrayed spouse. Is that how it feels? The other betrayed spouse is younger, a model, very attractive, and owns a successful business. This makes my wife paranoid that I will succumb to temptation and cheat on her as retaliation. I still can't believe her audacity to give me the two wrongs, don't make a right lecture. Of course, she's not wrong, and I never intend to follow through. But her hypocrisy enrages me. Every time I visit the other betrayed spouse, like yesterday, my wife becomes extremely sad or excessively clingy. I can't count how many times she has thrown herself at me just to ensure I don't cheat on her in return. I reject her advances, and it only exacerbates the situation. It utterly astounds me that cheaters can be so self-centered, only thinking about their own pain, while the betrayed must trudge forward and try to mend the pieces. Another point, our children still see their children. I never go to the other betrayed spouse's home without my kids. But no, my wife still thinks I possess the heartlessness she did and would seize the chance to sleep with that woman. What laughable nonsense. The other man still lives in their holiday home, begging the other betrayed spouse to take him back. I won't lie, it brings a great sense of satisfaction to see him face the consequences. He hasn't tried to threaten me because of the significant leverage I have over him. He must contend with the fact that I'm still in contact with his wife. He's permitted to visit his children whenever he wishes, but avoids seeing me. So he ensures I'm not present during his visits. I honestly pity the man. Currently, my wife has been incredibly apologetic. She has showered me with affection, which I simply dismiss. I'm not in a good emotional state. We have a therapy session today, and I feel like unloading all the pain and hurt I've endured because of her. The rage I feel is becoming overwhelming. Let's hear a quick community comment from MacMan Van. You need to express yourself in therapy if you're close to divorce. Why does she still care if you plan to date? She forfeited that right when she cheated. How selfish to expect your loyalty. She requires intensive help for her issues. Update. Checking in. Nothing particularly new to report, everyone. However, a few developments have occurred. Reviewing my posts and messages made me realize what an excellent resource this community is for people like us. I've been reading a lot about infidelity to gain a clearer understanding of my situation. Anyway, during a recent therapy session with my wife, she requested more time to win me back. She presented numerous reasons why it would be beneficial for me to at least attempt to participate in recovering our marriage, not necessarily reconciliation yet. I repeatedly brought up that she was only trying now because of the fallout from her affair. She would never be making these efforts if she were still seeing the other man. She emotionally abused me for months, and I'm not the type of person to be walked all over, even by the woman I once loved. She acknowledged all her wrongdoings and apologized once again. She has made so many promises to make amends. She wants our marriage to become stronger than ever and believes it's achievable. I asked her if she was prepared to tolerate my anger because I have plenty to spare. She responded, absolutely, and said she would welcome me to vent whenever I felt the need, to help me process the pain. Usually when I inquired why she had an affair, I received a million excuses. This time she was direct, stating there was no justification for what she did, and she would dedicate every day for the rest of her life to demonstrate through her actions that she was truly remorseful and would never hurt me again in that way. She actually shared her feelings with me, and it helped me understand a bit that she genuinely felt very insecure and jealous of the other betrayed spouse. The affair boosted her ego, and she enjoyed feeling attractive and desired. She acknowledged that the affair was undoubtedly a fantasy and could never last. She rarely considered the repercussions but did think about them occasionally. She regrets ever having the affair and says she will live with this guilt forever. She will probably never forgive herself. She told me she couldn't compare to the other betrayed spouse, and the reason she was so certain I would retaliate by cheating was because the other betrayed spouse is not only beautiful but also a woman of integrity. Not once has the other betrayed spouse ever said anything unkind to her or threatened her. It was all my wife's insecurity speaking, and perhaps the fact that I was angry at her for betraying me. Here's where it gets interesting. The therapist asked what it would take for me to consider my wife's proposal. Nothing came to mind. I was honest and told her, a time machine, because what I have now is a semblance of a marriage, and I never agreed to that. She told me all marriages encounter problems, ranging from infidelity to death. It's how these issues are addressed that reveals the strength of the marriage. I honestly couldn't believe where this conversation was heading, and I told the therapist to concentrate on my wife, not us. The therapist suggested that my inability to listen to logical reasoning might be a communication problem. I didn't disagree. My wife and I had a long conversation during the drive home. She questioned if I felt diminished due to her affair. Given that she had never asked me that before, I was genuinely surprised by the inquiry. I answered yes. She then shocked me by asking if I would feel better if I slept with another woman. I reiterated that I wouldn't have a revenge affair. She clarified that she was proposing a trial separation where I could go out and regain my confidence. She would remain faithful and wait until I was truly ready to return to the marriage. I thought she was desperate before, but I found her suggestion outlandish. I asked her how that would benefit the marriage in any way, for both partners to be engaging in affairs. She told me mine wouldn't be an affair because we would be separated with conditions allowing my freedom to see other people. I told her that was a huge risk on her part, and she responded that we were getting divorced anyway, so if this didn't help us, at least I could explore what the outside world offered. I obviously rejected the idea because it seemed entirely out of character for her to propose such a thing. My wife has been strangely calm and patient these past few weeks. She's like a different person from the previously insecure one. Of course, I know not to trust her for my own well-being. It's very difficult, though. Even though she doesn't want it, she's been very generous in the divorce proceedings. I've read countless stories where divorces become ugly, but not mine. It feels quite surreal to be in this situation. It's hard to navigate. For clarification, I am still fully proceeding with the divorce. I'm interested in hearing people's opinions on this. Update, back again. Hello everyone. I have another update on this unfortunate period of my life. Before I delve into that, I'd like to thank those who continuously reached out to me with support. So, currently my wife and I have decided to be civil and spend the holidays together as a family. This will be the last holiday we ever share, although my wife still hopes for a different outcome. I wanted to do this for our children's sake. I love my kids. Our divorce will be final in mid-February, for those curious. We have divided everything equally, though she has been very generous on her part. I still don't know if it's a tactic and she might turn hostile later, but so far, she has been kind and admits it's because I've been an excellent husband and father, so she feels I should receive a more than fair divorce, given what she has done. That's not to say she will lose a lot from the divorce, but I do gain slightly more thanks to her. I've decided to stop attending therapy with her. It was giving her false hope and sending her mixed signals. She has confessed a burning desire for intimacy with me. Throughout the time I've been absent from this forum, and her understanding that I felt diminished and undesirable due to her affair. She has been frequently, and I mean frequently, attempting to engage me sexually. Honestly, my wife rarely initiated intimacy before all this, so I found it somewhat disheartening that she was doing it now. Over time, I grew to appreciate that she saw this as an insecurity of mine and wanted to address it. I rejected her advances, but she still persists, adamantly stating that this has nothing to do with reconciliation and she just wants me to feel good and desired. I have temporarily ceased contact with the other betrayed spouse because things were becoming a little too personal for my comfort. To the person who suggested I was having a revenge affair, I guess you weren't far off. I didn't even realize it myself until the other betrayed spouse confessed that she did want to explore where our relationship might lead. She stated she would wait for my divorce to be finalized before we tried anything. I was very confused and had no answer for her, so we decided to take a break from being around each other until everything is resolved. The other betrayed spouse is an attractive woman, but I don't know if I can reciprocate her feelings. I don't know how to handle that at all. Someone insinuated that my presence around the other betrayed spouse was affecting her potential reconciliation with her husband. I assure you that I have nothing to do with her decision to leave the other man. She is done with him, and that's entirely her choice. We do not speak negatively about our former partners when we are together. The other man recently met me in person to apologize for everything that transpired. He was always an arrogant individual, and this experience truly humbled him. I did not accept his apology. Call me petty, but I don't care about what that jerk is experiencing. I have a question. Is it acceptable for me to be intimate with my wife even if we're not reconciling? I must admit, I miss intimacy. I miss the closeness it brings. My wife is eager and has been trying everything possible to initiate it. New lingerie, sexting, touching, letters, etc. And sometimes I find it hard to resist. She even discarded, burned, and replaced anything in my house that reminded her of the other man without me asking her, because frankly, I just didn't care to know precisely where they had been intimate. It's not easy for me to turn off these feelings. Is this a trap? Am I being manipulated? Before someone suggests kicking her out, I've already tried that, and I prefer her here because it's less complicated until the divorce is final. Ask the community for an opinion and you'll get a response. Little law student says, if you're finished, you're finished. Being intimate with her will only confuse you further and give her more hope for reconciliation. She's hanging by a thread with you, even if she claims she knows it won't help. She knows she's losing you and is doing everything possible to keep you. So, if you're absolutely certain you're done with her, draw a clear boundary and say no. Have your holiday together for your children, and that's it. Don't make an already messy divorce even messier. Intimacy is more than just physical when it comes to separating couples. Update. It's finally clear to me now. Rant. I once thought I had wasted all these years on a woman who was nothing but unworthy, but she gave me wonderful children and precious memories. These things I will never forget and will cherish as a man. But I finally understand. I can do better than her, and I will. I received a flood of advice on how to handle this situation. I finally, truly understand that I deserve better than her. She wronged me, belittled me, and made me feel inferior when another man paid her attention. She literally invested her energy in another person. I can't believe I'm only now coming to terms with being over her. Now she'll do whatever it takes to keep me. Now she's investing her energy in us. Now she wants me to be happy when she didn't care before. Now, she wants to be this adventurous person in intimacy with me. The intimacy we shared was never extraordinary, but I enjoyed it. Now I see how much I missed out on. Through her messages with the other man, I know just the tip of the iceberg of how graphic their encounters were. Now, she wants to show me how much she loves me, when admittedly, she had been quite disengaged before. That lazy intimacy speaks volumes to me. Now, she gives me space and is happy and supportive of anything I do, whereas before, it was all about giving her attention and providing for her simultaneously. Now, she respects my boundaries and goes above and beyond to uphold them. Now, she sees me as the king I wish she had seen me as before, but no, I had to knock her off her pedestal first. Now, she's the ideal woman, but it feels fleeting to me. Now, she is completely open with me about everything. She is brutally honest too, even if it upsets me or embarrasses her. I don't think I've ever seen a woman with such a constant look of shame on her face before. She wishes this affair never happened. I can see how much she punishes herself every day. I can see the despair on her face when I'm simply unresponsive to anything she does. She looks so miserable, especially when she tries to hide it. It sometimes makes me dislike myself, but to me, it's necessary. Why can't I view this as a positive development? Why can't I judge her by her current actions, which show remorse, right? Many people have long-term affairs and emerge even stronger than before, right? Why am I basing my decisions on emotion and not on mature, objective reasoning? Someone else will end up with the better, improved version of her while I venture into another uncertain relationship. Why not fight for this when everything seems to point to a good future? These are the arguments I've been given, and I have one answer. I will not tolerate disrespect. Perhaps I was willing to in the early stages of discovery, but I quickly awakened from that. This is to answer those who have messaged me privately and regularly inquired about my situation. I'm going to enjoy this Christmas with my entire family and then move on. Regarding my wife, I've decided to stop listening to the self-created nonsense that kept her in control of me and move on entirely from the idea of her. I will not date her or give us another chance. We are over for good. I want to say that my wife isn't a villain, and that's true. I want her to be happy as well, but it will never be with me. She has demonstrated that to me. I called the other betrayed spouse today and offered her dinner after the holidays to thank her for her support when I truly hit rock bottom. She said she would love to. I know these things don't happen often, but we genuinely supported each other throughout all of this, and I owe her gratitude. Before people start suggesting how much I planned this with the other betrayed spouse, I honestly didn't. My emotions have been so scrambled these past few years that the very thought of another woman never entered my mind. And it's just dinner, nothing more, unless we both desire it. But the closer the divorce gets, the more I realize I actually have options, and one option has been right there all along. What about the other man? I don't care a bit about that guy. I don't think I will marry again, and I will be upfront about this with any woman. Although my divorce hasn't been overly complicated, I am still losing a significant amount of money. The whole concept of marriage just feels like a sham to me now. Sorry for being so cynical right now. I don't want this post to offend anyone, but I'm still jaded. I gave my best years to this woman, and I'm starting to realize how little I received in return. Happy holidays. You won't be hearing from me for a while. Apologies for the typos. I'm on my mobile. Thank you for the gold star, whoever you are. Update. Officially divorced, plus the date with the other betrayed spouse. Too much information warning. It's been a long time coming. I did mention before that I would return and provide a final update here. It's over. My ex and I have officially separated permanently. It happened almost 3 weeks ago. For the better part of a few days afterward, I grieved as if I had lost a loved one. I think it hit me incredibly hard that my marriage failed so spectacularly. I'd never cried that intensely since first discovering the affair. I also raged a lot, definitely one of my lowest points. Everything has been arranged for my ex, partially by me for the children's sake. She moved out of the house, and I'm looking to purchase her share of it. She now lives in an apartment, a significant downgrade for her, and it largely depresses her. She is still attending therapy, still dedicated to reading and studying infidelity. I don't know exactly why. We've had extensive conversations leading up to and after the divorce, with minimal physical contact. I know I shouldn't engage with her now, but she's still the mother of my children, and I want us to be effective co-parents. I am nothing if not rational about the situation, largely thanks to this community and others. Of course, it's the same old tune. She wants to reconcile, and I believe it's too risky for me to put myself in that position again. Unfortunately, I'm not inclined to grant her that wish. This past weekend, I accompanied the other betrayed spouse to dinner, with no other intention than enjoying each other's company and conversation. We discussed all sorts of topics. Things became flirtatious between us, and I must admit I was very hesitant to entertain the rapidly changing mood. Well, I suppose I should say that the night concluded in a very passionate manner. Sorry for the excessive detail, but it was probably the most incredible intimate experience I've ever had. The other betrayed spouse is very much a giver, and far surpasses my ex in that regard. I didn't intend for it to go that far, but the other betrayed spouse was willing, and so was I. I learned quite a few more intimate techniques, It was the first time I ever had someone so enthusiastic to please me and not the other way around. I suppose I shouldn't call her other betrayed spouse anymore, as she divorced her ex, but for privacy's sake, I'll continue to use that. I don't think we will advance our relationship further, to be honest. I believe hormones and wine influenced us that night. She would like to, but I'm undecided. I need to sort myself out emotionally, and I think she does as well. I feel very good though. People might not like hearing this, but the intimacy I shared with the other betrayed spouse really helped a lot with my lingering self-esteem issues. I felt desired, alive, and finally understood what I had been missing out on. I will never settle for uninspired intimacy again. What was more satisfying was knowing that I was not being unfaithful and did not compromise my morals. All things considered, I'm very proud of how I handled all this mess. I wasn't flawless, but I did the best I could. I'm probably coming out very fortunate compared to many others in my situation, even if I did lose a substantial sum of money in this process. But that was because I was willing to accept advice and listen to experienced individuals instead of proceeding blindly and hoping for the best. For that, I will be forever grateful to you all. You and everyone who listens saved me from further destroying my self-worth. Takeaways. Respect yourself. Never, ever accept disrespect from anyone else, not even those closest to you. Everyone deserves a healthy, fulfilling relationship. Never settle for crumbs from your partner. Every committed relationship should include a healthy and fulfilling intimate life. If your partner isn't giving their all to you, but did so previously with someone else, or in an affair, do not tolerate it. I'm not advocating for abuse or coercion. Simply state your dissatisfaction. If your partner isn't willing to meet those needs, do not settle for boring intimacy unless you both agree on it. It is acceptable to walk away from that. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I cannot emphasize enough how incredibly important that is. If you're ever betrayed, only you can truly heal yourself. It took a long time for me to grasp this. There are many more lessons, but that's all I can think of right now. I'll be available to answer comments you may have in a few hours from now. I'm done posting here for good and moving on with my life. Have a good one, everyone. Update. Things are just okay right now. Hey, everyone. I've been receiving a ton of emails from people wanting to know how my situation is progressing. I've been deliberately avoiding anything related to infidelity because I still experience triggers occasionally. With that in mind, I'm still dealing with the trauma. I don't like to dwell too much on things, so I've been away from this site and others in an attempt to move forward. However, since so many people are concerned about me, I will alleviate your worries and provide an update. I'm okay. No accidents, no vanishing act. I'm still attending individual counseling. The other betrayed spouse is still my girlfriend. She successfully resolved her case with the other man regarding child custody and finances. She could have been vindictive and financially ruined him, but instead, she handled the situation maturely. There is indeed some tension among the children over all of this. We are trying to manage it as best as possible. We've had to start their therapy to ensure they properly adjust and understand that the relationship the other betrayed spouse and I have has little bearing on them. However, we do consider their feelings important when it comes to how the situation is handled. This is extremely challenging because not everyone is on board, particularly my daughter. My ex and the other man dislike being around each other. I genuinely think both of them blame the other for how things unfolded, and I'm not exaggerating. There's palpable tension when those two are in close proximity. My ex still wants a second chance and is probably angry that the other betrayed spouse prevents me from seeing things clearly and from not discarding everything we had indefinitely. This woman is so deluded. I'm genuinely worried about her behavior. She tried something at a 4th of July party a friend of mine hosted. I shut it down, but I guess not firmly enough. I didn't believe the people who said she would be pining for me, but you all were right. She desperately wants to crawl back. The other betrayed spouse is letting me handle that, but she's also getting tired of my ex. Did I mention my ex hates the other betrayed spouse with a passion? I truly thought my ex was changing for the better, but ever since I left her for someone else, she's been a mess. That's what I still don't understand. I treated her better than anyone else in my life, and she treated me poorly. But the moment I essentially told her to back off, she's doing everything possible to get my attention. I don't know if that's something I should be angry about. Well, there you have it. You can all rest easy now. Final update. I know you all were worried about me. Update. Hey everyone, yes, I've seen your inboxes and chat requests, Sorry for not responding. I'm not active here anymore, but I'm very much aware that people have been trying to check in on me and my situation. I'll ease your worries with this update. Be warned, this isn't a fairy tale ending. Let's start with the most obvious question. How are the other betrayed spouse and I doing? Actually fantastic. If I had known a woman like her existed earlier, I would have pursued her years ago. All jokes aside, I have never had a stronger relationship with any woman besides her. Because my ex-wife put me through so much, I had little idea what a healthy relationship looked like. I still doubted myself, but the other betrayed spouse has helped me through this and is a phenomenal partner. I'm very much in love with this woman. She has shown me time and again that I mean a great deal to her, and I feel the same way towards her. Nothing more than a girlfriend, though. I'm still skeptical about the entire concept of marriage. We're still keeping things private and involving the children as little as possible in the relationship aspect, but yes, the kids know we're dating. As for the children, it was a bit of a challenging start, who am I kidding? But they are getting along really well now. I think it mostly has to do with us being heavily involved in their lives and ensuring they had someone to talk to whenever they had problems. Also, lots of therapy. My daughter and son adore the other betrayed spouse. She has a way with children. Her children like me significantly more than almost 2 years ago. Her youngest even started telling people, I'm her stepdad at events and outings I took her to, which greatly surprised me. I was worried she felt obligated to see me that way. But she said she liked me a lot and it would make her mom happy, so she's happy I'm her stepdad. You don't know how emotional I became after hearing that. It hit me like a ton of bricks out of nowhere, but I maintained a brave front. I enjoy seeing my kids happily playing with the other betrayed spouse's children, although they formed a united front to relentlessly tease my son, who was the only boy and youngest of the group. Yeah, no idea if I should laugh or cringe at that one. So, what about my unfaithful ex-wife? We are on good terms. She has been working very hard on her own to mend her relationship with her daughter, and I was happy when my daughter told me she could find it in her heart to forgive her mother for what she did. They have been through a lot these years and have progressed well together. Even with that, I don't think my ex-wife has fully accepted that we are finished as a couple. She still seems to be searching for or hinting at a second attempt. She's been going to the gym and still attending individual therapy. Overall, she seems much healthier now, but I don't really care. I've made peace with the past. It's her problem for not doing the same. She talks more with the other betrayed spouse now, which is reciprocated, but the other betrayed spouse regularly regards her with skepticism, which she should, given all that's happened. The other man is a lost cause. I didn't realize what a mess that guy would be. All the money and no sense. He has a girlfriend now, but his kids despise her and are very open about it. It took me some time to see how arrogant the guy truly was. To be honest, I don't like his girlfriend either. She comes across as extremely materialistic, selfish, and cold towards the girls. So, to conclude, we are doing better than fine. Don't misunderstand. I had my doubts that this was the correct path, but with a lot of effort from everyone involved, it turned out splendidly. No fairy tale ending, just genuinely happy now. Well, there you have it. You can all rest easy now. A couple of quick comments from the community. Beb252 says, I followed your story. This is a nice update. I was fully invested in the other betrayed spouse from the beginning. Vivid Investment says, OP, thank you for the update. I followed your story and have been rooting for all of you. You, the other betrayed spouse, and the children have endured a long and emotionally traumatic journey and deserve the good things now in your lives. I'm glad this worked out so well for all of you. Wow, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, OP. It has not been an easy one, but you have managed to remain composed and level-headed throughout. Additionally, it's wonderful that you have found happiness with the other betrayed spouse. It doesn't always unfold this way, but the fact that you were able to find peace and happiness with each other is fantastic. The best thing you can do is take things one step at a time, live for the present, and practice gratitude for what you possess. It's beautiful that this person was able to awaken something within you and reveal just how valuable you are as a human being and a partner. You deserve to be cared for and, quite frankly, cherished. The other betrayed spouse helped you regain your self-worth, and I hope both of you learned so much about yourselves while together. It's important to have people in our lives who desire what's best for us and who bring out our finest qualities. It's also pleasant to hear that you and your ex are on amicable terms and that everything is fine with your children. Continue on this path and continue to uphold the morals and values that have guided you thus far. Wishing you all the best as you proceed. You deserve the very best. And as always, thank you for joining us today on our space. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let us know what you thought of today's content in the comments below. Until next time.